Hi folks, it's Darcy from the Purposeful and welcome back to another edition of Drycember, where we're taking a bite-sized chunk out of dehydrating all month long. And today we're going to be talking about nutrient loss in dehydrating. One of those questions that I'm often asked, which is what this whole month is about, is the nutrient loss in dehydrating. And surprisingly, it's pretty low compared to canning, compared to freezing, and compared to cooking itself. So when you're dehydrating, the further up the temperature scale you go, the more vitamin A and vitamin C you're going to lose, because that's just the nature of those things that are sensitive to heat. So if you'd like to save more of those nutrients, drop your temperature down to below 115F, which is in that raw food / living food kind of thing, where you're keeping most of the nutrients available to your foods. Remember, we talked about this a few days ago. Temperature doesn't matter as long as you're not talking about proteins. The recommended temperature has been tested to give the most efficient and safest drying time, but if you drop that temperature, it's not going to be unsafe. It's just going to take you longer to dry. So as long as you're aware of the fact that if you're dropping your temperature down, you're going to dry longer, because that's the way it works. But that keeps more of your vitamins in there if that's what your concern is. Now, as far as blanching, which is a process that you do to stop the enzymatic process in your foods from changing the texture and the color in the foods as you store them. And we'll get more into blanching on its own just a little further down the line when we start doing an actual project. Blanching does save some of your vitamin A, but because of their water solubility, you're going to lose some vitamin C and vitamin B complexes and some minerals. But it's not all of it. And so the toss up there is making sure that your food stays on your shelf and keeps its color, keeps its texture, and stores better. Is that toss up of, do I want to do that, or do I want to save a little bit more of the vitamins, but then know that your food will change in storage over time, which you'll see a lot when people don't blanch their carrots and their carrots turn white because they've lost that beta carotene over time. So basically, you're not losing very much at all with dehydrating. However, when you go and cook that dehydrated food, you're going to lose just as you would if you cooked it, because that's the nature of cooking. You're going to lose more of those nutrients. But it's still a better way of preserving, if you're keeping all the nutrients, then if you can, which is a great way of preserving foods, especially meats, because that means it's safe for long-term shelf storage. But you have a balance of what you have happen here and what you have happen there. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is carbs and sugars and calories. All of those things are not lost when you dehydrate. You're losing water and a few vitamins, yes. But in general, you'd lose none of the calories, the carbs, the sugars in your foods. So if you're watching calories, then you must make sure that you're looking at what a fresh serving is compared to what a dried serving is. And we're just going to take this general ratio. It doesn't really apply to everything, but a cup of one food is worth a quarter cup of it dried. So if you're a diabetic, you need to look at the fact that you can't have a cup of fresh apples and also have a cup of dried apples, because that is 4 times the sugars that are in your cup here because of the concentrated nature of dehydrated food. So watch for those things and make sure that you understand that ratio of fresh to dried, so that you know the ratio of the sugars that you're still ingesting. So basically that's it. A nutrient loss is not great in dehydrating. It's a great way to preserve your food for long-term storage on your shelf. And I hope that answered some of your questions. If you need more help, just ask in the comments below. And if you missed yesterday's video, I'll have it right here. And the whole series that you can catch up on will be listed here. And if you'd like to just subscribe to the channel to learn more about dehydrating and food preservation down the line, you can just subscribe to my channel right here. And I hope to see you again tomorrow on another edition of Drycember.